You don't need more time. You don't need more talent. What you need is to stop standing in your own way. Most people are not defeated by their circumstances. They're defeated by their own excuses. They wait for the stars to align, for the mood to feel just right, for someone to give them permission. But the truth is the only person who can block your growth is you. We like to point at everything outside of us. The economy, the past, the lack of support. But those are just shadows compared to the resistance inside. Fear, doubt, procrastination. That's what holds you back. Not life, but how you see it. Success is never about waiting. It's about choosing to move forward when it's uncomfortable, choosing to believe in your vision when no one else does, choosing to show up daily even when it's hard. You say you want change, but change demands responsibility. And responsibility means taking a hard look in the mirror. What stories are you still telling yourself? What habits are you still clinging to? What fears are still renting space in your mind rent-free? You can't fix what you won't face, and you can't rise if you keep ducking your own potential. The road is there, but the gate is self-made, made of excuses, distractions, comfort, and hesitation, and only you hold the key. You are capable, you are equipped, but none of that matters if you keep stepping in front of your own progress. Don't just get motivated, get out of your own way. The breakthrough you want is waiting, but it won't chase you. You must rise and meet it. And that begins the moment you stop arguing for your limitations. Because every time you say, I can't, every time you say later, every time you say, I'm not ready, you're reinforcing the very prison you say you want to escape from. Get honest, get focused, get moving. If you want results, you must stop being the obstacle and start becoming the force. Self-sabotage is the biggest enemy of progress, not the competition. Not the economy, not your background. It's what you do to yourself when no one is watching. It's that voice inside your head that says, why bother? It's too late. You're not ready. It's the hesitation before you act, the doubt after you start, the excuse that convinces you to quit. You want to move forward, but you keep pulling the brakes. You want growth, but you're still dancing with comfort. You want more, but you settle for less, not because you can't do better, but because you keep getting in your own way. Self-sabotage is quiet. It doesn't come in shouting. It whispers. It waits. It shows up in procrastination, in perfectionism, in fear disguised as logic. It tells you, let's do it tomorrow, when tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes never. It's checking your phone instead of working. It's doubting your idea before you've even tried. It's comparing yourself to others until you feel too small to even begin. And the problem is you start believing it. You start believing that progress is only for the chosen, that success is only for the lucky, that you're not qualified yet, not talented enough, not ready. But here's the truth. You don't need more time. You don't need more talent. You don't need another sign. You need to stop giving power to your fears, because every time you hesitate, you feed the lie, and every time you delay your destiny. No one ever built a legacy on hesitation. No one ever changed their life by waiting for perfect conditions. Progress doesn't demand perfection. It demands motion. It demands commitment. It demands that you show up, especially when you don't feel like it. You're not losing to the world. You're losing to the version of you that's afraid to grow. That version thrives on comfort, on easy, on familiar. But progress lives in the unfamiliar, in the stretch, in the challenge, in the decision to act even when fear is present. You don't overcome self-sabotage by thinking harder. You overcome it by doing, by building new patterns, by catching the lie and choosing truth, by standing up every time you fall, and by refusing to believe that your worst day defines your future. You're not broken. You're just in the habit of holding yourself back, and like any habit, it can be broken. The moment you stop listening to fear and start trusting your effort, that's the moment progress begins. and it's closer than you think. Excuses disguise themselves as logic, but they're fear in costume. They sound smart, they sound reasonable, they even sound protective, but make no mistake, excuses don't serve your growth. They serve your comfort, and comfort is where dreams quietly disappear. You say you're waiting for the right time. You say you need more research. You say you have too many responsibilities right now. But underneath it all is fear. Fear of failing. Fear of judgment. Fear of what happens if you give your all and still fall short. So instead of admitting that fear, we dress it up. We give it a suit and tie. We call it wisdom. We call it being realistic. We say we're being smart, when all we're really doing is hiding. Excuses don't walk in announcing themselves. They slip in quietly. They wear the voice of reason. They speak with confidence, but their goal is always the same: to keep you still. They say, "Now's not the time. Maybe later. Let's wait and see." But later becomes never. And waiting becomes regret. And all the while, life moves on with or without you. Every excuse you make chips away at your potential, not because you aren't capable, but because you keep deferring your own greatness. You already know what to do. You already know the next step. But fear wants you to believe that you're not ready. Fear wants you to believe that you need one more course, one more sign, one more approval. And so you pause, you stall, you delay, and in that delay your confidence erodes. Because deep down you know the truth. You know you're meant for more. You know you're capable of building, creating, leading, growing. But potential without action becomes frustration. It turns into bitterness. It turns into watching others live the life you talked about. Excuses will always have a story. They'll always have a reason. They'll always make sense, but they will never take you where you want to go. The only way forward is through truth. The truth that fear is present and you'll act anyway. The truth that progress is messy and you'll show up anyway. The truth that you might stumble but you won't quit. When you stop giving excuses the microphone, you start giving your courage a voice. And when courage speaks, progress answers. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need flawless plans. You just need to stop pretending your fear is wisdom. Call it what it is. Call it hesitation. Call it self-doubt. Call it fear. Then move anyway. Because when you finally take that first step, the costume falls off. And you realize it was never logic holding you back. It was fear all along. Blaming circumstances keeps you comfortable but powerless. It gives you a story, a reason, an explanation for why things are the way they are. It allows you to say, "It's not my fault. It's just the way life is. If only things were different, I'd be further by now." And that might feel good for a moment. It might take the weight off your shoulders for a while. But what it really does is take away your power to change. Because as long as you blame the situation, you don't take ownership of your choices. And without ownership, there's no progress. You can't steer a ship you won't take control of. You can't rise if you keep pointing at the storm. Yes, life is hard. Yes, you've been through things others don't understand. Yes, some people had a head start. But those facts don't decide your future, your response does. And the moment you say, "This is mine to own," is the moment you start to grow. Blame is easy. Responsibility is hard. Blame lets you stay still. Responsibility forces you to rise. And the truth is, most people don't lack potential. They lack permission from themselves to take charge. Blaming the job, blaming the parents, blaming the past, blaming the government, it all leads to the same destination: nowhere. Because even if all of it were true, even if every reason was valid, it still doesn't change what you need to do next. Progress doesn't ask for fairness. It asks for action. And the longer you stay in blame, the longer you stay in pause. Because blame is a pause button. It says, "Until this changes, I can't move." And that thought alone will keep you stuck for years. You may not control what happened, but you control how you respond. You control whether you grow bitter or better. You control whether you dwell or build. You control whether you repeat the story or rewrite it. Blame puts your life in someone else's hands. Responsibility puts it back in yours. And you can't build a strong life on a foundation of excuses. You need truth. You need grit. You need to say, I may not have chosen this, but I will choose what I do next. Because growth begins where blame ends, and power returns the moment you decide to own the outcome. It's not about ignoring what happened. It's about refusing to let it define what happens next. You weren't born to be a victim of circumstances. You were born to rise through them. But that only happens when you stop waiting for change and start becoming the change. Don't trade your power for a comfortable story. Don't trade your future for a convenient excuse. It's not about what's been done to you. It's about what you choose to do from here. The inner resistance, fear, doubt, procrastination is stronger than any external obstacle. It doesn't matter how clear the path is if your mind convinces you not to take the first step. You could have every opportunity in front of you, but if fear whispers, what if you fail? And you listen, you stay stuck. You could have support, resources, and time, but if doubt says you're not good enough, and you believe it, you won't even begin. The real battle isn't out there, it's in here. It's the war between who you are and who you think you're allowed to become. Most people lose not because of the world, but because of the voice in their head. That voice that says, you can't, you're not ready, people will laugh, you'll mess it up. And the more you listen, the more you believe. And the more you believe, the less you try. Fear doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It just has to be consistent. And it is. It waits for you to dream. Then it shows up with doubt. It waits for you to plan. Then it shows up with hesitation, and if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life preparing but never launching. External challenges can be solved. You can learn, you can adapt, you can ask for help. But the internal resistance, that takes courage, that takes awareness, that takes repetition. Procrastination is just fear dressed as productivity. It says, let's get everything perfect first. It says, now's not the right time, and it keeps you busy but not effective. It's not the lack of time, it's the abundance of hesitation. Your potential isn't buried under problems, it's buried under excuses. Excuses created by fear, excuses reinforced by doubt, excuses protected by procrastination. You don't need to wait for the fear to disappear. It may never leave completely. But you can move anyway. You can build while scared. You can lead while uncertain. You can create while unsure. Because confidence is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to act in spite of it. The obstacle inside is the one that matters most. Because if you win there, nothing outside can stop you. No opinion, no failure, no setback. You become unstoppable not when everything is easy, but when you become stronger than your resistance. The voices will still speak, but they won't control you. The fear may still rise, but it won't own you. The doubt may still visit, but you won't make it your identity. Your inner resistance is not your truth. It's just your test, and when you pass it, you find your power, you find your courage, you find the version of you that's been waiting to break through. Growth starts with personal responsibility, not with blaming, not with waiting, not with hoping that someone else will fix it for you. The moment you stop pointing fingers and start looking in the mirror, that's the moment your life begins to change. Because no matter what's happened, no matter who hurt you, no matter what didn't go your way, the future is still in your hands. Taking responsibility doesn't mean it was your fault. It means it's now your fight. It means you've decided not to let your past dictate your path. It means you've chosen to be the driver, not the passenger. You can't grow if you keep giving your power away. You can't evolve while holding on to the story that someone else is in control of your outcome. You are the one who decides what happens next, not your circumstances, not your environment, not even your history. Growth is uncomfortable. It demands that you stop hiding behind excuses. It asks you to be brutally honest about your habits, your choices, your mindset. And that honesty is hard, because it shows you the gap between where you are and where you could be. But without that honesty, there's no progress. You can't fix what you won't face. You can't change what you refuse to own. The strongest people aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who said, I'll take control anyway. I'll take the lessons, not just the pain. I'll build something, even if I have to start with nothing. You are not stuck because of what you lack. You're stuck because you haven't decided to rise. And the moment you do, everything shifts. Responsibility is freedom. It gives you the power to act. It gives you the ability to choose. It gives you the mindset to grow. When you take ownership, you stop reacting and you start creating. You stop complaining and you start building. You stop blaming time, money, people, and start asking, what can I do with what I have? It's not about having all the answers. It's about being willing to find them. It's about showing up when it's hard. It's about committing when no one's watching. Responsibility says, no one owes me, but I owe myself. It says, if it's going to happen, it starts with me. And when you live like that, you tap into something powerful. You realize you don't need permission. You don't need approval. You just need direction, discipline, and drive. Personal responsibility is the foundation of growth. Everything else is built on top of it. Discipline, focus, confidence, success. All of it begins when you decide to stop waiting for change and become the change yourself. Your mindset determines whether you rise or remain stuck. Not your background. Not your past, not your bank account or the people around you. It all begins in the mind, because how you think shapes how you move, and how you move shapes what you create. Two people can face the same problem. One will see an obstacle. The other will see an opportunity. One says, I can't. The other says, how can I? It's not the situation that makes the difference. It's the perspective. It's the mindset that filters everything. When your mindset is weak, you look for ways out. You look for shortcuts. You give up before you even begin. When your mindset is strong, you look for ways forward. You face the challenge. You keep showing up, even when progress is slow. Your mindset is the lens you use to view your life. If the lens is full of fear, you'll see danger. If it's full of doubt, you'll see reasons to quit. But if it's full of belief, you'll see reasons to keep going, even when it's hard. Being stuck isn't always about your circumstances. Sometimes it's about the story you're telling yourself, the story that says, I'm not ready, I'm too old, I failed too many times. Those thoughts become chains, and chains don't need to be real to hold you down. They just need to be believed. But here's the truth, you can change your mindset. And when you change your mindset, you change your results. No one is born with confidence. No one is born with discipline. Those are built through repeated choices, choices that begin in the mind. Do you believe it's possible for you? Do you believe you're worthy of more? Do you believe you can change your story? Because belief is the engine. Without it, the best plans stall. With it, even the smallest step forward creates momentum. A rising mindset asks better questions. It doesn't ask, why me? It asks, what can I learn from this? It doesn't say, I failed. It says, this is feedback. That shift in thinking is what lifts you out of the trap of excuses, the trap of comparison, the trap of comfort. You rise by choosing growth over ego, by choosing action over fear, by choosing vision over doubt. There will always be reasons to stay stuck. There will always be things that make it hard, but a growth mindset doesn't focus on the difficulty, it focuses on the possibility. It says, this won't be easy, but I'll figure it out. It says, I may not know everything, but I'll learn what I need to know. It says, I'm not done yet. Mindset is the thermostat of your life. It sets the tone. It decides the limit. And the best part is you control it. You choose whether to see problems or potential. You choose whether to retreat or rise. You choose whether you stay stuck in fear or move forward in faith. And that choice, made daily, is what creates the life you really want. Every excuse delays your breakthrough. Not because the excuse is true, but because the excuse gives you permission to wait one more day, to wait until it feels right, to wait until you're less afraid, until you're more prepared, until conditions are perfect, which they never will be. Excuses sound convincing. They wear the tone of reason. They say, now's not the time. You're not ready. Let's play it safe. But every time you listen, you give up a little ground. You delay the very thing you say you want. Breakthroughs don't come to the hesitant. They come to the committed. They come to the consistent. They come to the bold. And every excuse you make puts another brick between you and the life you're meant to build. You can justify the delay. You can defend the pause. But deep down, you know the truth. You're not waiting on the world. You're waiting on yourself. Excuses are not based on ability, they're based on fear. They're based on uncertainty, they're based on the comfort of staying still. And comfort, while easy, is expensive. It costs you your dreams, it costs you your momentum, it costs you your breakthrough. You say, I'll start when I have more time. But time is created, not found. You say, I'm just not ready. But readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. You say, I don't want to fail. But avoiding failure guarantees you never grow. Your breakthrough is not out of reach. It's on the other side of the excuse you keep telling, and that excuse is costing you something. It's costing you progress. It's costing you peace. It's costing you the pride of knowing you showed up, even when it was hard. Excuses delay more than just your goals. They delay your growth. They delay your confidence. They delay the version of you that only shows up when you stop playing small. You don't need a new opportunity. You don't need a better idea. You don't need someone to rescue you. You need to stop giving excuses the power to slow your steps and silence your voice. Because every time you delay action, you delay transformation. And there's someone out there living the life you want, not because they had more, but because they gave fewer excuses. They acted, they tried, they failed, they got back up, and that process became their breakthrough. Yours is waiting, right on the other side of the decision to stop explaining why you can't and start proving that you will. Excuses will always be there, but your time won't, your energy won't, your window of opportunity won't. Don't let another excuse push back the brake. Through you've already earned through your struggle, your dreams, your hunger to become more. The door is open, but you have to walk through it, and that means letting go of the reasons that have kept you standing still. You hold the key to your own limitations and to your liberation, not someone else, not your past, not the system, you. It's easy to believe the chains are outside of you. It's easy to think the world is keeping you down, but most of the time, the prison is built inside the mind. The walls are made of old beliefs. The bars are made of fear, and the lock is made of doubt. But the key has always been in your hands. You may have been shaped by your past, but you are not sentenced by it. You may have been told you're not enough, but that voice doesn't get the final word. You are the one who decides what story you carry. You are the one who chooses whether to believe in limits or to lean into possibility. Limitations are real, but they are not absolute. They shrink or grow based on what you choose to believe. When you believe you can't, you won't. When you believe you're not worthy, you'll settle. When you believe you're stuck, you stop looking for doors. But liberation begins the moment you challenge that belief. The moment you say, what if I can? What if there's more in me than I've been told? What if I've been free all along but too afraid to walk out? You don't need permission to grow. You don't need someone to open the gate. You need courage to use the key you already have. The key is responsibility. The key is belief. The key is action even in uncertainty. You don't break limitations by wishing. You break them by showing up again and again. By proving to yourself that you are more than your fear, more than your failure, more than your past. Liberation doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you stop living under false ceilings. It means you stop accepting the version of life that keeps you small. You rise when you stop waiting to be chosen. You rise when you stop asking for rescue. You rise when you decide that freedom starts within. No one else can think for you. No one else can act for you. No one else can step into your potential for you. That's your role. That's your right. That's your responsibility. The life you want is not behind a locked door. It's behind a door you've been holding the key to. Maybe without even knowing it. So today, stop asking who's to blame. Start asking what you can build. Stop saying someday. Start saying now. You have what it takes, not because someone said so, but because the power to change has always been yours. You are both the lock and the key, and the moment you realize that nothing can keep you from your breakthrough, belief and consistent action are more valuable than talent or timing, because talent without belief becomes wasted potential. And perfect timing without action leads to missed opportunity. It's not the most gifted that rise, it's the most committed. It's the ones who keep showing up long after the mood to do so has passed. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't believe in yourself, you won't use it. You'll wait, you'll doubt, you'll compare, you'll shrink. And you can wait for the perfect moment, the perfect setup, the perfect alignment of stars. But if you never move, you'll never grow. Belief is the fuel. Action is the engine. Together, they create momentum that talent alone cannot match. Some people are waiting for their big break, but breakthroughs come to those who show up daily, even when no one's watching. Even when it's hard, even when it feels small, belief says, I can do this. Action says, watch me prove it. And over time, those two voices outwork the loudest critics, outlast the strongest doubt, and outperform raw talent that lacks discipline. Success is not an event. It's a habit, and habits are built by action repeated not once, not twice, but day after day, even when the results aren't visible yet. Most people don't fail because they lacked ability. They fail because they stopped showing up. They gave up when it got quiet. They backed down when progress was slow. But belief keeps the fire burning, and action keeps the wheels turning. You don't need to be the best to begin. You just need to begin. And if you stay with it, you'll become better. Talent is a gift, but belief is a choice, and action is a discipline. And those two things, belief and consistency, will take you further than any gift you were born with. The people you admire, the ones who seem to have made it, they didn't just rely on talent. They practiced, they stumbled, they adjusted, and they kept going. The secret was never in the spotlight. It was in the process. While others waited for the right time, they started. While others second, guessed themselves, they kept building. While others wondered if they had enough, they proved that showing up was more powerful than knowing it all. Belief gives you direction. Action gives you results. And together, they give you the life you were meant to live. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the next step, then the next, then the next, and if you keep walking long enough, you'll end up in places talent alone could never take you. Because belief makes you unstoppable, and consistency makes you inevitable. You must stop standing in your own way to start standing in your purpose. You can't walk into your future while dragging the weight of your doubt. You can't rise while holding yourself back with hesitation, fear, and endless second guessing. It's not the world that's holding you down. It's your own resistance, your own voice telling you you're not ready. Your own habits keeping you busy but not fulfilled. Your own fear convincing you to wait just a little longer. But the truth is, your purpose is waiting. Not in the distance, not somewhere unreachable, but just beyond your excuses. You say you want to grow, but growth requires movement, and movement requires you to let go of the stories that no longer serve you. You say you want impact, but impact requires courage, and courage means facing the part of you that's been holding back. You say you want to lead, but leadership begins with ownership. Ownership of your time, your energy, your choices, and your mindset. The longer you stay in your own way, the longer you delay the life you were meant to live. Purpose doesn't shout. It doesn't force its way into your schedule. It waits quietly behind every decision you make. Every time you choose fear over faith, you push it aside. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you close the door on your potential. But you were made for more, and deep down you know it. That restless feeling, that hunger for something bigger, that's purpose trying to get your attention. But it needs your permission. It needs your action. And it cannot move forward while you keep putting up roadblocks made of self, doubt, and hesitation. There's a version of you on the other side of your excuses. Stronger, wiser, more focused, more fulfilled. But you have to step out of the way so that version can rise. You have to stop talking yourself out of opportunities. You have to stop comparing your path to someone else's. You have to stop shrinking every time fear shows up. Fear is not the enemy, inaction is. Doubt is not the problem, believing it is. You were not born to live small. You were not created to just exist and survive. You were built to grow, to create, to serve, to lead. But none of that can happen while you keep putting yourself in your own path. You are not the problem, but your patterns might be. And the good news is, patterns can be broken, mindsets can be rebuilt, habits can be changed. Purpose isn't a mystery to be solved. It's a direction to walk toward, and the first step is getting out of your own way. Let go of the excuses, let go of the fear, let go of waiting for the perfect moment. Start where you are, with what you have, and trust that purpose will meet you there. Because when you finally stop standing in your own way, you make room for the life you were always meant to live. So now the question isn't, can you do it? The question is, will you let yourself? Will you step aside, break the patterns, silence the doubts, and finally let your purpose lead? Because the life you're searching for isn't waiting somewhere far away. It's waiting on the other side of your decision to stop holding yourself back. Get out of your own way and watch how far you can go.